In this session, we will talk about 8 critical mistakes even big Amazon sellers are doing, but which you can avoid if you learn about them today. These are commonly overlooked things which can have a huge impact on the success of your Amazon business. And today I will have 2 guests, Nader Youngchild and Vincenzo Toscano, who will share their insights about these mistakes so you can learn from the best. So I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and let's welcome them here today. So hi Nader and hi Vincenzo. I hope you are both doing great. How are you feeling?
Great. Very excited. So looking forward. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Was it difficult to come up? So both of you, either of you will present 4 mistakes. So was it
Yeah.
difficult to come up and collect those best mistakes sellers do?
So I would say from my side, I mean, there are so many mistakes that, on a daily basis we see with clients that we manage, and is definitely, every single day, actually, there are new things we find out with our clients. So it was pretty easy to come up with the list.
And how about you, Nader?
Yeah, I would agree. I would say the most challenging part was limiting it down to just
Exactly.
3 to 5. What kind of couple really
Exactly.
capture it was challenging, but I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as you both know, you are very familiar with what Orange Click does. We're all about sharing value and sharing great insights. So before we jump to the most exciting part of this webinar today, which are those mistakes, let's first listen to your background and get an introduction of you. So the viewers who are here today with us would know who you are, what you do in Amazon space, and why you're here to talk about these mistakes. So, Nader, maybe you can go first then.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm humbled and excited to be here today and share the mistakes that we gathered together at Carbon 6. My name is Nader Youngchild. I'm a former Amazonian. I grew up in the Seattle area and ended up working at Amazon for some time. I developed the consumable categories within the household supply space, so toilet paper and batteries and laundry and dish soap. All of those categories was a wonderful learning experience. After leaving Amazon, I started an Amazon consulting agency where we would run brands on their behalf on Amazon. And while running those brands and working with lots of big brands and small brands, we developed some software to make us better and more efficient. And that software is called Data Driven. And we sold that software to Carbon 6 in Q1 of last year. And so now I'm officially an employee, not of my own anymore. I now work at a larger company, but luckily I landed at a wonderful one with lots of entrepreneurs and lots of great tools at Carbon 6.
Well, sounds really good. Very good story. What about you, Vincenzo? What are you doing on a daily basis here, and why you're here today with us?
Sure. So a little bit of my background. So originally, I'm an engineer by trade. So the reason why I jumped into e-commerce, I started selling on Amazon as a side hustle, and eventually that became, my full-time job, in the sense that, overtook my job as an engineer. And by going to events and different webinars, I realized there was a need to actually provide support to a ton of brands that they were struggling to actually, understand how to navigate the complex system, which is selling on Amazon, right? So I used my experience, and that's where I founded ECOMCY, where I'm currently also the CEO. And on ECOMCY, we're a full Amazon and Walmart brand management agency, where we're currently helping brands to, successfully launch and maintain their growth into these 2 platforms. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have had the chance to kind of interact with you both. I have done a couple of videos with Nader before, and Vincenzo, we have seen at the Amazon events in Europe. So I know you're both very, how can I say, you value giving valuable information. So I'm really excited about
Thank you.
today's webinar as well, because I know that the mistakes you have put together for the audience are definitely good ones. And as I said in the intro, we're here to learn, so we could avoid those mistakes ourselves. So viewers, if you're watching us live and you found or find this webinar useful, don't forget to like this video and also subscribe to our Orange Geek YouTube channel if you are not yet a subscriber, because then we can bring you more webinars and content like this to help you succeed with your Amazon business. So I think let's get straight to the business. So Nader, I think you're ready to go first with your mistakes. So open up your slideshow, and then we can start with your presentation.
All right, so we're going to dive into the top 4 mistakes that we thought were worth sharing here with the audience today. Those 4, in kind of simple terms, kind of laid out here right at the start in this first slide around how do we maximize hero SKUs and a hero ASIN strategy on Amazon? How do we manage the changes that are evolving and hitting us now with inventory fees as they're getting more detailed and specific? How can we unleash off Amazon traffic and the impact that that can have to our Amazon business? And lastly, how do we maximize claiming all of the reimbursements that are out there for our Amazon business? So let's go ahead and dive right in. So mistake number 1, treating every ASIN as if they are equal. So what I mean by this is on Amazon, we might have multiple ASINs within our catalog, or maybe even multiple ASINs within multiple brands within what we sell on Amazon. And all of those ASINs ultimately are going to live and operate at different life cycle stages on Amazon. Today, tomorrow, and in the future. Those life cycles, we have a few of them kind of bulleted out here, a few kind of simple examples. They might be new ASINs who have a direct competitor that they're going after. They might be new ASINs with no direct competitors, might be quite a new novelty item. Could be a growing ASIN that's looking to steal share or kind of take sales away from a particular competitor, or it might be a growing ASIN that's just on the platform and simply growing at the rate in which the category is growing on Amazon. It could also be a dying ASIN, an ASIN that's declining in sales, maybe because a competitor is going directly after it, or maybe the category that it exists in on Amazon is declining, and so it's declining category growth decreases. Or lastly, we could have a mature ASIN that's kind of not new, not growing, not dying, kind of ultimately it's done all of those stages and it's at a strong state now, but it might need some defense against potential competitors that could come up, or maybe it's at a mature state and it's already doing a good job at defending against other competitors trying to take it out. So as we think of our ASINs, it's very, very rare that every single ASIN within our catalog is going to be at the exact same life cycle at the exact same stage. Quite often, it's our experience that most sellers are going to have multiple ASINs at different stages in this life cycle, evolving over time. And not every ASIN has the luck or the privilege to kind of move through the life cycle quickly. Sometimes ASINs can get stuck in certain stages for quite a long time. Sometimes they move quickly. Sometimes they fall backwards. And so the first thing we want to do is just accept this reality that ASINs are going to live within these life cycles. And so now as we shift over to trying to start to identify a hero SKU strategy or hero ASIN strategy, we call it hero SKU strategy because ultimately this is a brand retail strategy that exists beyond Amazon, and one that we want to leverage in all of our distribution points. We kind of translate it over to Amazon lingo by calling it a hero ASIN strategy, but ultimately the two are interchangeable. We're talking about the same thing. Ultimately, what that means is a few SKUs, a few ASINs, a few products within our catalog that we're basically pulling aside and we're saying these ASINs or these SKUs are more important to us right now on this platform than the rest of them. Now, more important can be quite subjective. And so the first thing we want to do is we start to isolate and put that hero SKU list together is identifying which ASINs within their particular life cycle stages are in better alignment with our company goals at the time. So if our company goal is to make our business on Amazon as big as possible, as profitable as possible, as fast as possible, so that maybe we can sell to an aggregator, well, that's going to identify probably ASINs within certain life cycle stages on Amazon that are going to fit more with that strategy versus maybe we're just leveraging Amazon as another distribution point and we're trying to just get as many distribution points as possible because we're trying to build a big brand. Or maybe we are a big brand and we're too reliant already today on Walmart or Costco or maybe some brick and mortar channels. And in that case, we're trying to leverage Amazon to diversify our risk, diversify our distribution channels. And so in all of those examples, whatever stage your company is at and goals that your company has, it's going to dictate which of these life cycle stages are more in alignment with that stage. And also it's important to recognize that hero SKUs are going to evolve over time. We might have a hero SKU list with this year's strategy, and maybe our whole company changes its strategy next year. And so our hero SKU strategy and our hero SKU list might change over time as well. And we also, the saying goes, we can't be afraid to kill our own baby, in this idea that like we might have ASINs in our hero SKU list today, but as we see their performance over time, acknowledging that they might fall out of that hero SKU list based off of their performance. And ultimately what we're talking about regarding the mistake treating every ASIN as if they're equal. Really, this comes down to giving non-hero SKUs the same attention and resources as our hero SKUs. So when it comes to inventory placement, managing inventory, making sure inventory is managed perfectly, our advertising, how much budget are we giving to this part of our catalog versus that part of our catalog, promotions, all of the activities that we manage or our operators manage for us on our Amazon business, in theory, we can't necessarily be equal to all of our ASINs at all times. So the idea here is making sure that we're serving our hero SKUs first before we work over the rest of our catalog, our non-hero SKUs. So we kind of say that, you want to operate from the acceptance that Amazon will not ever sell all of your ASINs as you perfectly wish and as you perfectly desire, but there's a high likelihood that they will sell some of your ASINs beyond your wildest dreams. And so you can lean into that reality by making sure you're leveraging that hero SKU list and making sure that you're prioritizing those hero SKUs over the non-hero SKUs over time as you're making decisions on your Amazon business. Okay, mistake number one. On to mistake number two. Mistake number two, getting a little bit more specific and granular. This mistake that we like to call out is overlooking these new inventory fees on Amazon. Oftentimes when we see new fees, new inventory fees, new fees of any kind, we can interpret them as, oh man, another way Amazon's stealing money from us, another frustrating thing to have to deal with on our Amazon business. But in reality, there's some opportunities within these new fees that are coming out from Amazon. So as all sellers know, Amazon has always penalized when you had too much inventory within their fulfillment centers. As it makes sense, right? Their business model isn't set up to have, warehouses everywhere holding your stuff for long periods of time. And so they penalize that to kind of fit their business model. Now what's happening is they're getting more specific and more detailed on their fees to incentivize the desired actions that they want from sellers beyond just having too much inventory at Amazon. So two very specific ones that are coming out that are new, that are interesting. One is inventory placement fees were introduced where Amazon charges a fee to send your units of a particular ASIN to one singular fulfillment center instead of the random multiple locations as we've seen in the past. Now, there's a chance that what we've seen in the past, you're not getting a fee because you didn't send it to one FC, came with shipping costs. And so there's a chance in some cases, in some ASINs, those shipping costs might be higher than the actual fee Amazon now charges to send to one singular fulfillment center. So there's some opportunity there. It's not just a negative thing. Next one here would be low inventory level fees, where Amazon is basically doing the exact opposite of what they used to do of charging for too much inventory. Now they're saying, hey, it's not good for us when you get customers happy and excited and using and buying your products, and then you don't have enough inventory to support that growing demand. It makes Amazon look bad in serving that customer. So Amazon said, we're going to incentivize sellers to no longer let their inventory fees get too low so that we can make sure we have enough inventory to serve demand for these products. So the big mistake here is assuming that all these new fees are a bad thing. So when we operate from an acceptance that the new fees are in line with Amazon's optimal business model, it's really an opportunity where we can maximize and make our business model better in alignment with Amazon's business model, which, as you probably all, as big sellers likely have experienced on Amazon, the more your business can fit into what Amazon's trying to do as they grow their business, the more the algorithms will like you, the better your opportunities will start to unravel and open up for you on Amazon. So big mistake, assuming all these new fees are a bad thing, and maybe there's an opportunity to leverage them to actually save you money within this new world with Amazon's changing fees, or two, allow you to optimize your business to be better in alignment with Amazon's overall objectives. Okay, mistake number three. So we started with hero SKU strategy, making sure that we're managing our overall business in a particular manner that's making sure we're not wasting resources on ASINs that aren't in alignment with what we're trying to do overall with our business. Number two, we've talked about these new inventory fees at Amazon, got a little bit more specific around operations. Now, mistake number three here, we're going to jump off Amazon. So now we're going to have a conversation around how do we make sure that we're leveraging changes that have happened within Amazon's search algorithms, where they determine what products show up where within search, within personalization and automation widgets, such as we recommend for you, or customers about this, also about that. All of these exposure vehicles on Amazon went through a change during COVID that change basically amplified the impact that if your ASINs bring traffic from off Amazon, how much Amazon favors that and ultimately reciprocates that and gives you more exposure on Amazon. So what we have happening is in 2020, Amazon shifted from what they used to call A9 seeding to A10. It's just terminology that's basically describing the algorithms they use to power their search results. The change was quite subtle on face value. Search results didn't actually look that different. It was hard to even tell that they were changing, but ultimately it was quite substantial on the back end. So just like the old algorithms, the new algorithms consider a bunch of factors in their when determining which products to show where, as you see here bolded on the left, whether it's seller authority, sales history, impressions, conversion rates, bestseller rank, all of things that we would expect and have always seen impacting search results. But what was quite large and quite a big change when they transitioned from A9 to A10 seeding was when they took off-site traffic, had a massive increase in its relevancy and its weighting within that search algorithm. So what that means is your detail page, when customers go to your detail page of your particular ASIN, did they go there from Amazon search results or other Amazon clickable paths? Or did they go there from, say, Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or your D2C website or blogs that are talking about the top 10 best vacuums and the best travel shampoos? All of those external traffic sources, Amazon said, thank you very much. We have actually lost quite a bit of traction to Walmart during COVID. So because of that, we're again going to change our algorithms to incentivize sellers to serve our business model. We want customers coming to Amazon from multiple doors. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all you ASINs out there who are bringing customers to us from other doors outside of Amazon, and we're going to actually reciprocate that and give that back to you. We're going to say thank you very much, and you're going to get higher brand search ranking. You're going to get higher likely to convert impressions. When you're running ads, we're not going to send you nader impressions who look at every ad and look at lots of reviews and rarely ever click buy. We're going to give you LISETT impressions and the LISETTs out there who are clicking on 3 products and clicking one of them and buying them in the next 3 seconds. So the more we can send off Amazon traffic to Amazon, to our detail pages on Amazon, the better our efforts will be amplified on Amazon. So the big mistake here is assuming offsite traffic driving initiatives are just as important before. They are much, much, much more important. Amazon has changed that incentive in a way to align better with what they're trying to do with their business, which is bring more customers into the Amazon store. Okay, and so here, operating from this acceptance that if you do not take advantage of offsite traffic driving initiatives to your Amazon detail pages, as you're sitting here watching this seminar and others are getting this information, there's a chance that your competitors likely will, and they will surpass you in category rankings in a way that you might not be able to explain. And so it's very, very important that you make sure you're leveraging this tactic before your competitors do so at a larger scale. Okay, mistake number 4. So again, we hit overall strategy around managing our total catalog on Amazon with hero SKUs. Then we went into inventory, new inventory fees from Amazon. Then we talked a little bit about advertising. We went off Amazon advertising instead of what we commonly talk about a lot, which is Amazon pay-per-click. Now we're going to go to Amazon actually keeping your money that they owe you, and how do we make sure that we're getting reimbursed for those mistakes or clerical errors, depending on kind of how you define them. But ultimately, Amazon keeps some of the money that they owe sellers, and it's important that we're capturing those reimbursements. As folks in the audience here are larger sellers, this is not news to anyone. I think where the news is and where the big mistake that we see is when you use internal teams to search for those reimbursements, or you use tools that don't actually look under every stone. At the end of the day, Amazon has lots of stones that they are able to basically keep money from sellers. And so making sure that our internal teams or our VAs, at the end of the day, we found that they're not quite as efficient as you might think, and that there's a lot of tools out there to help with this, but not all of those tools are out there looking for all of the reimbursements that your business might be eligible for. So I think accepting that you could have what we've seen up to about 50% more whole dollars available to you from Amazon reimbursements if you're not leveraging the best ways to go after them. So the kind of call to action here is any and everywhere that someone or some tool will give you a free audit, make sure you take advantage of those free audits. Those free audits will do, if nothing else, show you what you're missing or show you that you have it under control. So leveraging all of the free audits that you can within reimbursements is a tactic that we recommend to sellers of all sizes. Okay, those are all 4 mistakes. Here's a little QR code to grab time with me or folks at Data Driven and other members of the Carbon 6 family, if we can help dive deeper into any of those mistakes that your businesses might be making. We're here to help and happy to.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think these were very good mistakes to share as a starter for this webinar. Vincenzo, did you listen to, do you have your favorites out of the 4 he presented? Or what do you have, maybe not the favorite, but what, let's ask like this, what you have seen sellers doing most commonly maybe?
So unfortunately, the biggest mistake I see people repeating a lot is what Netter mentioned, mistake number 4. They have so much money sitting on the table and they just basically assume that they cannot get the money back. And they don't take advantage of, some of the audits like Carbon 6 they can offer to get this money back. Like it's mind-blowing. Sometimes I do audit with 7-8 figure sellers and they may have 5-6 figures sitting there and they're doing nothing. So it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
Although it's something I think like we have like in the recent years we have been hearing like people talking about, like experts talking about, sellers talking about,
but you would be surprised. It's still a lot. Yeah. It happens. Yeah.
Okay, very cool. And Nader, what do you think out of those 4, like what's kind of the most important one which you would like really emphasize to sellers to prepare or try to avoid?
Yeah, for me, it's the first one. I put it first just because I think it's so easily overlooked, and that is just accepting that not every ASIN is created equal, and not every ASIN will serve your company's goals equally and proportionately. And so making sure, Amazon doesn't have room for 4 to 8 weeks of cover of every ASIN, of every seller that they could ever imagine in their head. They also don't have enough clicks to go around, and they have some bad clicks that they collect money for pay-per-click ads from. And so recognizing that those realities are true and making sure that we're putting our efforts into the ASINs that actually align best with our company goals, I think it's very easy to overlook, especially as you just start to manage your business from an Excel sheet and you just see ASIN and data. But recognizing that a few of those ASINs need probably like a really bold line between the ones that are most important and the ones that are not.
Yeah, that's true. I see it a lot also.
So everybody watching us live right now, if you enjoyed those 4 first mistakes, then definitely like the video to show support to Nader. He will now go and count all of the likes you share while Vincenzo is getting ready to prepare his mistakes, not your mistakes, but the mistakes you prepare for us. So
I can assure you sometimes back in the past I did some of these mistakes. So yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's pull up your slides here, and basically you're ready to go then.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for the opportunity. Pleasure to be here. So basically, these are some of the mistakes I see a lot of sellers doing on a constant basis. So we do a ton of audits, people that come to us that they want to grow on Amazon. And whenever we do audits, these are some of the 4 points I see be repetitive over and over. So I want to make huge emphasis that you guys need to take action here to make sure that you can, incrementally grow the business on Amazon as efficient as possible. So let's get started. So I'm going to skip this. This is just a quick intro about myself. And then let's jump into mistake number 1. Okay, so mistake number 1 is basically not optimizing pricing strategy. Okay, and this is a huge mistake, and basically what I have seen a lot of times people doing is that they set a price on Amazon from, let's say, the moment they created a listing, and then 2-3 years down the line, they don't change the price because they are afraid that something is going to change in the algorithm. They're afraid that they're going to lose positioning. People nowadays is afraid to do a lot of things when it comes to changing things on the listings because they know that could potentially affect the visibility. However, we need to be mindful that the market is dynamic, okay? And if we don't adapt as the market basically adapts with the competition coming in, we're going to be left behind. And I see this happening a ton of times with a lot of people that come to us. So the first thing you need to do is on a custom basis, and this is something we encourage to all our clients, is basically track your market. Understand what your competitors are doing, and if you can, on a monthly basis, I will suggest, which is what we do a market analysis and see what your competitors are doing. Are they running any deals? Are they having any specific discounts? Always track to price, things along those lines, because if you don't, it's very easy, like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months down the line, you start slipping your organic ranking because your conversion drop due to the, of course, a one-to-one comparison that people do between your listings and the competitors that are undercutting you on price. And then it's going to be very difficult or even more expensive to get back to that placement if you just had a reduced price in the first place. So make sure you always track what your customers are doing. And there are many tools out there that you can track on a daily basis. You can know when somebody's changing a price, and you can dynamically adjust your price so you stay as competitive as possible. The other thing, of course, is that when you change your pricing on Amazon, it's not all about being the cheapest and always being, the one offering the best deal in the market, because it also comes down to the value you're offering with your product. Sometimes your product can be of higher quality. You're definitely offering something that has a unique selling proposition that your competitor is not offering, and therefore the added value is there. However, something that people also do a big mistake here is that they fall into the trap of thinking that because my product has this material that nobody has, this packaging, this technology, X, Y, and Z, they start putting prices that are not realistic. Okay, a ton of times people come to me and they say, okay, I'm selling this product at $50. And then we do a market analysis and we see that the average on the market is $25, $30. And I come down and say, okay, I understand that your product is better. You're offering these kind of extra features that nobody else is offering in the market. But that doesn't always justify that people is willing to pay almost double to get those features. So you need to be realistic that sometimes it's not all about bringing a product that covers the gap to the specific market, but also people is willing to pay that price in the first place. And there are also a ton of tools you can use out there to do split testing with pricing before you even launch a product, to see if people is willing within that niche to actually pay the extra $20 in this example to actually get these extra features in the first place. Okay. The other thing that people also do a lot of mistakes when it comes to pricing is that they don't consider the other expenses that comes when it comes to selling on Amazon. We know Amazon have a ton of expenses that have to do with inventory, with the actual FBA fees, the referral fee, and PPC. And the PPC one is the one I see people doing the most mistake, because the PPC fee that you pay for every single sale, this is a variable fee, and it's all going to come down to how the market is on that moment in time, right? You could assume that you have an average CPC, cost per click, of maybe $1, and down the line, 6 months, 12 months down the line, you jump from $1 to $2 cost per click because of the increased competition. So before you even launch a product in the first place, I always make sure I have enough margin on my pricing that I can account for these things that are natural, and they're going to happen, especially on Amazon, that is such a fast-pacing marketplace. So if you don't account that, I have seen very easily, like even 7-8 figure sellers having a very profitable business going into the negative because their margins were already very thin, and just by a few cents here and there on the PPC, things can go sideways. So make sure on your pricing, if you're really looking to, let's say, decrease the price to be competitive with your competitors, you are taking into consideration, like if you actually can afford the cost per click and taking consideration what you're doing with your conversions. Because if you're going to reduce your price and then the CPC is still high and your conversion is not high enough because you also haven't optimized your images, you haven't optimized your listing, and you haven't done the foundational work of actually making sure you can leverage as much as possible that traffic, then all that is going to be lost, right? So those are some of the things I see a lot. So in summary, for this first mistake, make sure that you do a lot of testing with pricing. Don't get fixated on that price you launch in the very beginning. Price has to change based on competition, based on what is happening with the market itself, and also being realistic that sometimes, even if you're bringing something unique to the market, you need to understand that there are some economics that are the foundation of that niche that you need to respect. Second mistake is failing to optimize for mobile users. So this mistake is very easy to oversee because, of course, when we do, or when it comes to managing our business on Amazon, let's be honest, most of us do everything on our laptop, right? So all the things that our eyes see when it comes to optimizing a listing, when it comes to optimizing our images, when it comes to optimizing A plus content, most of the time we are seeing that through a screen that it will be our laptop, right? Or desktop. And the big mistake we do here is that sometimes things look amazing on your laptop, right, on your PC, but then on the mobile, right, things are different, right? And that's why every single time we do an optimization for any of our brands, we make sure that everything is also optimized at the mobile version, okay? So why that is very important, because sometimes you could have an image that looks amazing on desktop because of the ratio and the screen is bigger, but when you bring that to a mobile a device where the screen is smaller, most of the time the screen is not really readable because it's very small, or the ratio looks all off. And you need to be mindful as well that right now on the app on Amazon, when they scroll after the images and the pricing, the first thing they see is the A plus. And if your A plus is all full of text and overlays and all of that, and you break down to a small device, it's going to be a carnival, and that's going to destroy your conversions. So make sure every single thing you do when working with designers, or if you are doing the designs yourself, you actually test how it's going to look on a mobile phone. In fact, even on your PC, right? When you're doing an image or you're looking at listing of a competitor, you can right click and put inspect, right? And then in there, you can change the device to a mobile, and you can see how the listing will look like on mobile version. And you're going to see that most of the time the top sellers have really put a lot of thought about how the workflow works in the sense of interacting on the app, right? You need to make sure that even, for example, when it comes to the whole connection of branding, right? If you're using certain colors on your images, right, and then use a different color on your A plus, because on the mobile phone they are very close to each other when you start scrolling down. If there's a huge disconnect in branding and design, that also affects conversions. And the other thing that is a big advice I always provide for mobile optimization, you need to make sure that the main image, when somebody's scrolling on the app, it looks as big as possible, right? So you need to make sure the image that you put in this case for the main image, covers as much of real estate as possible, and have as many bright colors as possible, because when somebody's scrolling, just as we do in social media, you try to break a pattern, right? And to break a pattern, you need to have something different, right? And therefore, that's where we try to be very clear in terms of, okay, we need to make sure we take as much of the white canvas of the picture as possible. We increase the brightness or the saturation of the colors to make it pop up, or we design some kind of packaging if that's already part of your product development that really is gonna pop up on the mobile version. Because let's be honest, from what we see in the data, like 70% of sales, most of the time 60-70% happen on the mobile version, right? So if you're not optimized for mobile, there's a ton of money you're leaving there on the table, right? And another thing you can also do besides images is like really test out how other things pop up on the mobile version. So for example, you want to make sure that you have as many extra things on when you, let's say you're setting a phone case and somebody put phone case, you want to make sure your square has as many extra things as possible to take as much real estate. It's not only the image, it can be a coupon that take an extra space, it can be the badge of climate pledge that can be an extra step, and as many things as possible. So when somebody's scrolling, wow, your pro is taking a big chunk of the screen. And if you're doing a good job with pricing and title and all of that, I can assure you your conversions are going to have a big jump there. So that's mistake number 2. Now let's go to mistake number 3. So the other mistake I see, and that's some of the things we specialize on as a food brand management agency, we do a lot of international expansion for our brands. And a lot of times people come to us, and we work sometimes with bestsellers on some categories in the States, and they already have 70-80% dominance on that specific niche. And they come to us and say, okay, but there's still these competitors that they're taking the other 20-30%. I want to be, controlling the whole thing. And then most of the time when I run the numbers for them in terms of how much they will have to spend to get full control of that specific niche, or to control the missing keywords they may have on the state. Sometimes with that same investment, because these are competitive niches in most instances when the sellers are of this size, is worth to actually look at a overseas expansion, right? So we have a ton of brands that by just putting that expansion into regions such as Europe, first of all, there's much less competition because, of course, in Europe, it's a less mature market compared to the US. So if you're a really strong seller in the US and you're bringing all that knowledge from the USA to Europe, I can assure you you're going to have a very successful journey, especially if the product is right, right? Of course, you need to be mindful that you need to do the right kind of localization. You need to make sure you have the right pricing. You need to have very good partners when it comes to the importing and the taxes side of things. But the other thing that I love about Europe as a region, for example, is that you give a huge diversification kind of vaccine, I call it, to your product, because you go from a market that's only English speaking. Now you go to Europe, and now you can diversify in Spain, in Italy, in France, and all the other different markets that are across Europe. And now you go from attacking one specific avatar to 5+ avatars at the same time, and that gives like a second chance for your product to succeed. You have more diversification. Therefore, if let's say Spain doesn't work, maybe UK can sustain the burden of Italy, as an example. And the third thing, because you bring that experience from another market, can allow you to expand and grow your revenue much faster than stay fixated on your home country. And this doesn't only apply from US brand coming to Europe. The same situation we have with Germans and UK brands mainly going to, for example, a US. They go from these markets that are much smaller, and that once we brought them to the US, and of course making sure that the opportunity was there, they had a huge success when it comes to 2-3x the revenue. So in summary, big mistake is try to stop thinking that the solution is only in the country that you're selling. Most of the time, where I've seen sellers having a huge jump from 7 to 8 figures and beyond is because they go internationally. It's very difficult to have those huge jumps within the home country because, let's be honest, the certain size that once we reach that size, and you also have to account for competition, it's going to be very difficult to really get those extra percentages that you can get them just by going internationally. So don't be afraid. I understand there is that concern of localization, the compliance, and all of that. But I can assure you, if you work with the right partners and people that can really hold your hand and help you localize and penetrate those markets, like I have seen amazing stories, and I'm sure if your product is right, it will be the same in your case as well. So now let's go to mistake number 4. So mistake number 4 is everything that has to do with a branding. Okay, and unfortunately, this is a mistake that in 2024, I will say it will break a lot of businesses. The reason why I say that with this strong statement is because we see Amazon is pushing more and more than ever toward branding. I think the days of only taking a product from, let's say, China, putting a logo, putting it on Amazon, and that's it, I think are coming to an end, unfortunately, because we see that trying to compete only on price is a race to the bottom, right? It's going to be a matter of time before somebody comes, sometimes even the same manufacturer that you're sourcing from. And unfortunately, you're not going to have the opportunity to compete there. So from day one, you need to focus on having a unique value proposition, right? So from the very first moment you think, oh, I want to sell on Amazon, or even if you're already an Amazon seller and you want to expand your catalog, that must be your priority from day one. From the moment you take that mentality away, that's where I see people going sideways and unfortunately not succeeding. From my experience, like I would say 80% of success on Amazon is done from the moment you're sourcing. Like from the moment, if you don't choose the right product, and not only the right product, but the right pricing, which goes back to my first mistake, that's where even if you have the best PPC strategy, the best images, the best photography, etc., the fundamentals are wrong. So how we can find the unique value proposition? Nowadays, for example, with things such as ChatGPT, which we use a lot internally, you can analyze the reviews of your competition. You can really understand what people are complaining about, what people are really seeking to receive on a niche, and what are things that people are willing to pay extra that currently they cannot find on the market. Try to reverse engineer that, try to come up with prototypes or mock-ups, and then that's where you can use solutions out there to do what we call testing audiences, right? Just as you will do for pricing. Every single time we launch a product, every single time we want to test a new image, a new title, anything that could convey conversion factors, we basically ask the audience, because another day, if you want to sell a yoga product, who is going to know more? The person that go every single morning 9 a.m. to a yoga studio, or you that you have maybe a passion for yoga, or you are just an Amazon seller that want to do some profit, but you don't really practice, or you're not really within that niche itself, right? So you really need to talk to the person that are within that specific niche. So what we do is we analyze the reviews, we come up with a unique selling proposition, and then we ask, like, do you like this version? Do you like this version? And once we understand what people like, that's where we then start designing the customer experience around that, right? That there's also a lot of answers in the reviews and the questions and answers of your competitors that can really make you come up with ideas to have a unique experience that nobody's offering. It can be things with sustainability, things to do, for example, with the quality, everything to do with how the product is done, the history behind the packaging, the storytelling. So all these things that seem sometimes basic and we might think don't make a difference, I can assure you, last 2 to 3 years, when I was working with some of the aggregators and having a look at what are some of the brands that were getting the biggest multiples, one of the main drivers for the decision making to choose brands were what they were doing in terms of branding outside of the product. They wanted to make sure that you as a business and as a brand, we are just not a commodity. We are not just a product that is coming from China and that's it. What you offer after the purchase, do you offer some kind of community? Do people really try? People really your ambassadors without you asking them, talking to their friends, to their mom, to their girlfriend? That's what you want to achieve with branding. And I can assure you, if you choose the right customer experience that go from the very first moment they open the packaging all the way to loyalty programs and things along those lines, that can really make you pop up. And people, when shopping on Amazon, they know when they're shopping and buying from let's say, a Chinese brand that doesn't really offer more than the cheapest version, or that you go beyond and it's more than a product, it's an actual experience. So if you focus on that, especially in 24, I can assure you that you're really gonna stand out from the crowd, rather than just selling a Me Too product. So I think that's everything from my side. Hopefully you found that helpful. Of course, feel free to scan here my QR code to get access to my contact information or book a call with our team. I'm happy to make sure to jump on a call and give you as much guidance as possible so you can avoid some of these mistakes. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Really enjoyed listening to your mistakes as well. So at least now we all know at least 8 things what we should do or shouldn't do in order to succeed on Amazon. So that's awesome. So Nader, what do you think about the mistakes Vincenzo shared with us today?
Oh man, I was like chomping at the bits. Seminars are funny.
Actually, one thing I wanted to say, although viewers didn't see you, Nader, while Vincenzo was presenting, and Vincenzo also didn't see you, I saw you even doing like thumbs up at sometimes, when he shared a few points. So that was nice.
Yes, totally. I was thinking about, I wish I could be on the side of the stage, like amplifying what he was saying. Yeah,
I felt the support. Don't worry.
I think so. The one that really stood out to me, I really liked his last one around, basically not taking branding as serious as to his point. I don't think you needed to a few years back selling on Amazon. It's an easy one to let go of. But I think one thing that he hit home on is just reminding sellers that while they might call themselves Amazon sellers, in reality, they're actually a company and a brand. Mm-hmm. Just so happens to be Amazon's the platform, the ecosystem, the bazaar, the market of the day. But they're a company and they're a brand, and like getting that right, I think is so critical in succeeding as a brand in any platform. And I think he's right that Amazon is it used to be a little easier, and Amazon's not that easy on that part anymore.
Okay, sounds good. So I know both of you also attend a fair amount of events, and you actually talk with sellers face to face. And as we just entered the new year, I wanted to ask, like, what do you think? What's going to be like one of the main challenges for Amazon sellers this year in 2024? What is something that probably takes a bit of time for them to kind of figure out, or they need to overcome to stay where they are if they're on top right now, or as a new seller to achieve the bestseller status or have a successful business? I don't know which one of you would like to go first.
I think from what I'm seeing more and more, especially from the calls I'm having with clients and people I have conversation on a daily basis, I think the conversation this year is driven more towards profit margins. I think people is having more and more the conversation sacrificing revenue in exchange of profitability. I think we're having a shift mentality of being, 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure, but realistically, what is the net, right? So we're having more and more that conversation that, especially if people have a ton of SKUs, we're having more that very high focus when it comes to profitability at the SKU level rather than a business level, because I think this is the year where people is going to have the decision, going back to the first mistake Nathan was mentioning, of focusing on the hero products and letting go those secondary ASINs that sometimes we just keep because there's emotional attached to them. Like, they were some of my first ASIN, they really complement my brand, but realistically, are they putting money on the table? No. And I think this is the year where people is going to get more aggressive with them.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, Nader? We'll give you a few seconds more to think. I already see you started talking, but I wanted to say you probably counted your likes. So now it's the time to like the video. Not again, but if you didn't like before, then do it now. If you liked Vincenzo's mistakes as well, and you have been learning at least a thing or two from today's webinar, and you have enjoyed spending time with us here. And also, if you're not a subscriber of Orange Klik YouTube channel yet, then definitely subscribe as well to see all of our future videos. And now, Nader, let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of what I think sellers are going to be talking about and is going to be most prevalent in their minds in 2024, I'm going to piggyback right on the back of what Vincenzo just mentioned, and that is Amazon inventory fees getting more granular and detailed. I think it's going to change the landscape that exists when managing your P&L. So when managing your P&L before with Amazon, on the inventory side of your P&L, it was quite simple. Basically, don't send too much of your stuff to Amazon. That was kind of the only thought you had to have when looking at that portion or that impact on your P&L. And now with Amazon optimizing it for penalizing and incentivizing actions that optimize their business model around, I also don't want you to send too little amount of inventory to Amazon. And I also need to charge you if you want to send your products only one fulfillment center. I think Amazon adding these, again, as I presented them as opportunities, but if you overlook them, I think your P&L is going to be hit it's going to be compressed in an even more even bigger way than what's already out there and obvious. And so I think people are going to have to care a lot more about supply chain and inventory than they did in the past, which ultimately is a good thing, because at the end of the day, like our branding and our advertising and our mobile optimizations and our hero SKU strategies and our sending traffic from offsite Amazon to Amazon, all of this is important, but it's all irrelevant if we don't have the product there and ready for the customer when they want it. So ultimately, I think it's going to take a lot of attention in 2024, but I think it's a good thing, and I think it's going to help the industry mature overall, and I think it'll help the brands that get it right stick around and build a business for the long term.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So I think you both agree with me that one of the best places to be to know what's happening in Amazon space and know what are the current challenges, but not only know the challenges, but also know the solutions to them, is to attend different Amazon sellers conferences and events. And I'm really happy that both of you were here together with me for this webinar, because actually Carbon 6 and ECOMCY are both the sponsor of the upcoming European Seller Conference. And I'm just going to briefly introduce the event to our viewers as well what's gonna take place in March in Prague, Czech Republic this year. We're gonna organize a big conference for European sellers called the European Seller Conference. It's designed for experienced sellers who want to scale basically their already successful Amazon business beyond the first millions. And as Vincenzo highlighted, it's not only about the revenue, it's actually about the net and profit you are making. So this conference is definitely for the sellers who have been around already for a few years and already want to scale their business to new heights. Just a quick overview of the event. We're going to start off with the VIP day, which gives like an intimate opportunity to network with some of the most serious sellers from Europe. And then we're going to have two main event days, which are like conference days, where we have action-oriented presentations from 15 different speakers from Europe and from US and from Canada. And we're going to finish the conference with the advanced workshop. That's like a full day workshop where which is led by Chris Rawlings, and where sellers are able to go really in depth with different listing issues and also all the challenges regarding scaling their team. So we have already finalized our speaker lineup as well. And as you can see, there are a lot of different known experts here who are going to be on stage and presenting their actionable presentations as well. So if you're based in Europe and haven't been to Amazon Sellers event before, or maybe you have been and want to just stay on top of your Amazon game, then definitely come to Prague from March 13th to 16th this year. And as I said before, then I'm super happy that both of the companies are sponsoring the event to help to make this happening and to help to support the sellers. So thanks for that. And before we wrap up totally with today's webinar, I wanted to give you one more chance to give like a one piece of advice for sellers to kind of start their year strong and yeah, just something encouraging to scale their business to new heights.
So I would say an advice that I give to all the people they ask me when it comes to, how should I write 2024? I would say try to be open-minded when it comes to, your brand, because I know we're talking here, of course, well, Amazon related, and that's, of course, the number one priority, but open your mind to other channels sometimes, for example, it comes down to we have clients that now they're testing Walmart and they're having good results as well. So what I'm trying to say is that don't get fixated that Amazon is the only solution, because as Netter say, you have to see as you are a business and Amazon is only a channel. So don't be afraid of maybe testing Walmart. Try maybe Etsy as well, maybe try your own website. Try to be dynamic, because I think it all comes down to diversification. You don't want to have all your eggs in the same basket. And as long as you have that and you're taking action on that, it's like an insurance. Like when those rainy days come, when competition comes, when advertisement gets expensive, you're going to have other channels that are going to support you and get through those tough days. So, yeah.
Very good advice. Thank you for that. Nater, what about you?
Yeah, I would add maybe a little bit higher level to speaking more to the entrepreneur behind, or the businessman or businesswoman behind the businesses. And that is, I think 2024 will bring challenges to Amazon businesses, and new challenges, as every year in the past has. I think there'll be a fair bit more in 2024. But it's just a reminder to everyone that they probably got here because they viewed challenges as opportunities rather than things to get them down or bum them out about. And just keep hold of that lantern and keep it lit. That every time you face a challenge, it's an opportunity to get bigger, to get better, to get stronger, to have more defense against the people chasing you from behind. So just encouraging folks to take a look at these challenges as opportunities and ways to improve their business, not just ways to knock their business down.
Awesome.
Yeah, sounds really good. Thanks for that. And again, thanks for both your time, for joining us today. I hope to see you soon, either in Prague or at some other event. So thanks again, and wish you good luck.
Thank you, LISETT. It's been a pleasure. Next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching this webinar. And if you're now interested in learning more about the European Seller Conference, which is a conference designed for European-based Amazon sellers who are already successful in what they do, but want to scale their Amazon business beyond the first millions, then this is the event you have to go to. And watch this next video to learn more about the details, what this event is, what activities we will do there, and very much more.